expectation levels, Quinny, they're about right. We were losing the run of ourselves when we were beating the All Blacks a small bit.
Yeah, I don't think they were losing the run.
No,
of
I know
themselves.
they weren't, but just as a nation, that pressure going into it. It'd be like Kerry going into the All-Ireland final last week versus finals that I would have went into. Fellas would be saying, "Oh, you'll win," whereas they were telling, "You won't." They're about right now.
As players, in any sport at any level, you do try and block out the outside influences and the perception. And look, we're a small country. Rugby is not number one here. It's down the pecking order a bit. The GAA, the soccer is ahead of it, and rightly so. That's kind of the pecking order of it. But rugby is incredibly popular, and it has grown, particularly with the provinces, the provincial stuff, with Leinster and Munster winning European Cups over the years, and in rural parts of Ireland. So people like their rugby as well. GAA people like their rugby. Rugby people love their GAA because that's what we all grew up with. Particularly, I'm from Tip, and I wanted to play hurling for Tipperary, not rugby initially.
What happened, Joe?
I wasn't good enough. Plain and simple. But I think we kind of did. Like in 2018, we were World Team of the Year. Johnny Sexton was World Player of the Year. Joe Schmidt was Coach of the Year. So celebrating that is good too, important. And I think maybe some people who maybe haven't kind of skin in the game, if you like, or not very, very much involved with their local club went, wow, that's great, we're this, we're that, we're going to win the World Cup. We were never going to win a World Cup on the back of that, just on the back of that. I think there was going to be a long road, and this 12 months since last November has shown that sport can change like that. From 1 week, you lose a big game, little seed of doubt in there, and that happened in the Six Nations. So we were beaten by England. We had a decent win in Scotland. We were poor against Italy over in Rome, and then, a bit better against France in Dublin, and then the Welsh game at the end with we got kind of smothered out of that and kind of manhandled a bit, I think. And that kind of creates this seed of doubt and this bit of negativity. And then, obviously, the English game a few weeks ago legitimately asked a lot of questions and created a lot of concerns and worries, which were badly exposed. And I think just the timing of it, and all you guys know, sometimes you can be playing the match and a couple of things go wrong, and then it can get worse. It can get worse. So, where Ireland, 40 points worse.
Yeah.
It probably not on a given, if it was a couple of days later, they wouldn't have been. England, to be fair, they were 10, 15, 20 point winning margin, I thought would be acceptable, not the scoreline. But the way they've responded in the last couple of weeks has been much better, and I was very encouraged about what I saw last Saturday. So the expectation, going back to what you said, was big in 2018, and sometimes as Irish people, are we nervous with that kind of scenario?
Well, we definitely, it sits way better with us when we're
I think it's
underdogs.
the case as well, most definitely. I think we're all a lot more, well, I would be anyway, I'd be a bit more happy for watching the rugby, like going away now thinking, well, tell you what now,
we're a nice place.
Better play. You touched on it earlier on, I'd feel that anyway.
Yeah, and I think...
What would you like from inside the camp? Would you like to... Well, we are the best, like, that mentality?
From when I played right back, when I started with Munster in 1997, and we were going into this European Cup, so we were like, Jesus... Declan Kidney said to us, we're going to win Europe someday, we're going to win the European Cup. We thought it was crazy, we didn't have that kind of winning mentality. And all our sports people now feel they can go on the world stage, whether it's our boxers or our swimmers or our cyclists or anyone, any of the athletes competing. The Roars, the Cork boys, the Donovans, we feel now we can go and win things, and we're kind of much better as an Irish psyche is much better around winning culture. Yeah. I grew up in a culture where, Jesus, you play England and keeping the score line down was the mentality. So our psyche now, so I like the fact that if you're a winner and you win stuff, that, you can go and win more. Let's deal with the favourites tag. Yeah. But in saying that, we're now in a position where we kind of, that expectation is much lower, and we've got to deal with an underdogs tag. You look at the New Zealand press during the week, totally writing us off. They're saying, and rightly so, England, New Zealand, South Africa are the top three. Wales, Ireland, they're not in a position that are going to win a tournament. So, do you want to be in that position? Is the question you were saying, and I was there. Well, it depends. Sometimes it suits us. I'd rather be going off to a World Cup in prime position, but then the danger is maybe you hit a brick wall there. So we've hit a brick wall. I just hope that little bit of seed of doubt doesn't kind of crop up again.
Yeah.
Either way, we got to start well against Scotland, manoeuvre our way through the tournament. Then we've got Japan, which can be tricky, Russia, which will be, with respect, will be easier, and Samoa, you could be dangerous as well. I just really believe if we get to quarterfinals, that given Joe Schmidt what he's done here, and look, there's a bit of negativity in the last while, maybe that we're too structured and stuff.
Can I just ask you about the bit of negativity around the last couple of weeks? I don't want to cut across you, sorry there.
But the last few months, the Six Nations
but
as well.
More so around the last few weeks with Toner being left out and Klein coming in, the circumstances which Klein's come into the squad as well. Would that affect the squad, the group of players going over there, or is it? I spoke about it maybe on that little bit of selfishness. Is that have to come into it, or is it almost?
I know where you're going, because if you're playing, particularly the Leinster guys, and even it doesn't really matter, the Munster, Ulster kind of guys that know Dave and be very close to him would kind of. What you're saying is Jean Klein has really only kind of probably got to know some of these guys in the last 2 months, 3 months. Is there a little bit of negativity towards him that one of their good friends is gone? Deep down, you can kind of have those feelings at the start and say, well, Jesus, this is not fair or whatever. But ultimately, you have to become selfish. I went to a World Cup in 2003, and we played a trial in the Old Lansdowne Road, and some of the Munster guys that I would have been incredibly close to, we were playing against them. I remember Paul O'Connell and I were on one team, and Marcus Horn and Frankie Sheehan and David Wallace were on the other. And the back row was very competitive. And I remember Wally and myself tearing lumps out of each other. Wally was an incredible wing forward, but we were now in a situation that maybe it was so competitive in that back row area that maybe one of us might only go. And we're tearing strips out of each other, and you kind of go, well, I've got to do it, and he's got to do it, and you just have to be selfish.
I think Schmidt, when he made that up, when he's obviously weighed that up big time, and there must be reasons behind it. Like, I don't think he drops his main guy who's been there, done it for him with Leinster and Ireland for the last 4 or 5 years. There must be a reason behind it.
Everybody has an opinion, Kieran, on the outside, saying, well, it's wrong and it's this and that.
No, I don't buy into that though.
I played for Munster for so long.
I think it's wrong.
I should be having a cut off Joe maybe, but I'm a Munster man. Played for so long. He's brought all this success to Leinster as well, and it'd be a great chance for me to stick the boot in and say, it's wrong. But I don't believe it's wrong. I believe for what Joe's done, I have massive amount of respect for him for what he's delivered here in Irish rugby with Leinster and Ireland. That you nearly kind of have to go, well, he's made this decision given. It's a judgment.
He's made it for Ireland.
Morally, people are questioning the idea of Jean Klein becoming Irish qualified.
I know, but we've
that's the thing. I've got a massive problem with it all.
And I respect your opinion on that, because you're absolutely entitled to say that. And I've said it to some people. Luke Fitzgerald has given out about it. Other people, Neil Francis gives out about it. I actually don't have a problem with it. I played with overseas guys in Munster who went on and qualified for Ireland. And it never bothered me, to the point that if they come over and they invest their time here and they're given 110% in that dressing room, I never kind of went, oh God, you're not Irish. You know what I mean? That's the way I was about it. And I'm very passionate about my country. I know you are as well. And some people are entitled to that opinion that it doesn't sit well with them. I just think John Klein has been picked on the basis of stuff that the coaches have seen throughout the last 2 months. Devon had an ankle injury. Probably was behind a little bit on the fitness stuff. He's an incredible player, and you could not meet a nicer bloke and a positive bloke. A guy who tweets that evening or the day after wishing the boys the best of luck, no bitterness about him. And you know what? He could well end up going out there in a couple of weeks.
It doesn't make it not tough on him. It is tough on him.
No, it's very tough on him.
I think really that he would have made that decision. Joe would have made it to say, how are Ireland going to win the World Cup? I think this guy gives me a better platform.
And whether
it's the only way you can make it.
The thing is, you can't necessarily blame Joe Smith for the decision. That's his decision on the team.
But the circumstances.
I'm talking about the rules
of the 3-year scenario, which is now changed to 5. Which is now changed to 5.
5, 10, 15. I wouldn't care with that.
Yeah.
How
they're either Irish or they're not Irish.
Well, it is, and personally, that's what I think, and I would think that if somebody has come over at a younger age at 9 and 10, I've got no problem with that. But if you're naturalised or nationalising them at 19, 20, someone's not quite cutting it at Munster or Connacht or wherever, and all of a sudden then you're moving someone on to get them in.
The reason why this happened through probably from the kind of 2000s onwards is because we didn't have a big pool of players to choose from. Rugby went professional in 95, 96, so for the provinces kind of to be successful in Europe, they needed a couple of outside players and to be able to invest in 3 or 4 players, and then suddenly kind of on the back of that, some of them became Irish qualified, stayed here a number of years and were very successful with the provinces, and then suddenly 1 or 2 started playing for Ireland, and it was probably not as much of a furore about it as there is now, and I think that's the reason the whole thing happened. But you see the likes of England, they probably have 3 or 4 as well. When you're saying, Jesus, England, the pool of players you have. But I do understand that it doesn't sit pretty with some people, but New Zealand are doing it for decades. Now the Islanders, a lot of them come and live and grow and move to New Zealand.
Yeah, but they come and live and get free schooling because they're running the 100 metres in like 11 seconds.
At the end of the day, Kieran, I think that Ireland are out of the goldfish bowl of that expectation.
They're over in Japan, the pressure's off.
And I always liked the fact when the squads I was picked in, the World Cup in 2003 in Australia was incredible. We had 2 weeks practically on the beach in Terrigal. We had a great base. We trained down the road.
Did you go for a night out?
We had a few beers, nothing major, but we had we were just away from everything, and like genuinely fellas. And sometimes people don't realise the importance of 2 lads grabbing a coffee and saying, you know what, against Scotland now, X, Y, and Z is going to do this, and we just got to make sure that we're on the money, and those little chats and conversations, and you don't have the kids, wife, you're not rushing home to pay bills, to do the food shop and to help out at home. You're actually away, and you're out of that probably expectation of reading what's on the papers and seeing what's been said and all that stuff, and you can just focus your mind a little bit. It's the final push really, and they have an incredibly tough start with Scotland. It's a hard start. They can't ease their way into this, so it's enjoyable as well. Kev, from being away with
over there in Japan, it's nice as well.
You got a good welcome in Japan, Kev?
Oh, I did, but yeah, I've just seen a couple of videos there with Owen will be posting some, but we seem to have a different reception with every town we went to. We've got to go to this function, and you've got to respect the culture there, you've got to respect them, and they'd have a welcoming party coming in for you. Then we go into a next town and we'd have another welcoming party waiting for us. It was fun. It was fun, yeah.
And all the teams are doing that. I've seen some of the videos, like the reaction in Japan. I can't wait to go out there and see the amount of kids that are going to train, the schools that are turning up, the singing they're doing for the different teams. It's amazing. So even though they're out of the goldfish bowl here, they still have stuff to do over there. But ultimately, for us to have success at the World Cup, I think we need a bit of luck with the injuries. You look at 2015, we were missing Paul O'Connell, Tommy Bowe, Sean O'Brien, Johnny Sexton, Jared Payne against Argentina in that quarter-final. If we get a little bit of breaking ball and can get to a quarter-final, it's going to be incredibly tough. It'll be against either New Zealand or South Africa. Saying that we get to a quarter-final. So it's an incredibly tough task.
And we'll be back to the situation we talked about at the start, that we'll be the underdogs big time, no matter who we're playing.
That's right.
Picture of the South African boys is ridiculous.
Ridiculous, yeah. We'll read the Indo tomorrow. I do a piece on it. It's shocking, and the culture and the amount of people have been caught over the years with steroids in South Africa. It's frightening. I'll tell you quickly.
There's been a narrative about that.
They have a schools week there every year, and it's kind of a schools competition where they come from all over, play, and it's kind of a stepping stone and a situation where Currie Cup teams and Super Rugby teams pick out players and they sign them, and it's an opportunity for them to showcase their talents at 17, 18-year-old. 6 of them out of 122 tests last year in 2018 tested positive for steroids. So 6 17, 18-year-olds.
That'll be their own choice.
You can Google this.
That's just the ones that it's in the system for. I'm sure they may well have been other ones. 6 out of 122
at a schools week like that, a drug culture there, and there's a lot of high-profile players. Now it's another conversation. We can talk about it again, but
Going back to the bit of luck that you were talking about, because I think that's important for us. There's certain guys we can't lose.
There's leaders there. You know yourself. You all know from